Hello, welcome to Revenant Reads. I'm Vin, and this is the monthly wrap-up for October of 2023. So in this video, I'm just going to very briefly talk about the books that I finished reading in October of 2023. I have filmed quite a few videos in a row, and this is the last one. That's why, if you've been watching, I've had the same Exorcist t-shirt on in all these videos. I am filming this on the morning of Halloween, and I will be releasing these videos over a course of a few days. But here we go. For once, I'm actually filming a monthly wrap-up before the end of the month, or at least at the end of the month, which is very rare for me, even though this won't get released right away. So, first book that I read in October was this one, The Man of the Crowd, Edgar Allan Poe in the City by Scott Peeples by Princeton University Press. This is a book where Scott Peeples looks at the various cities that Edgar Allan Poe, at least temporarily, called home. It looks at what was going on in those cities, what was going on in Edgar Allan Poe's life, and how those experiences might have affected his writing and played into it. It was a very brief read. It had some nice visuals throughout as well. And it acts as a little bit also of a travel guide. If you're somebody like me who is in an area where Edgar Allan Poe was and would love to just kind of pay your respects to by visiting the site. He kind of gives you some ways to do that as well in here through his descriptions and the various maps and images. So if you're an Edgar Allan Poe fan and you're interested in a nonfiction book about him, this is a pretty good option. I like this one quite a bit. The next thing I read in October was this one here, Library of America edition. The works, not the complete works, but many of them, of Ambrose Bierce. We have got The Devil's Dictionary, his satirical dictionary that's filled with wit and sarcasm that I love. We also have his short story collection about his tales of soldiers and citizens, his short story collection of kind of like horror Gothic tales, ghost stories called Can Such Things Be, which I like quite a bit. And we also have other collected short stories and also autobiographical tidbits, especially of his experience in the Civil War. Ambrose Bierce was a Civil War veteran who saw some pretty terrible things during the war and was also had a pretty bad head injury that affected him the rest of his life. He was a skilled journalist, and he is somebody who has a very mysterious ending, disappearing in Mexico during the Mexican Civil War and nobody really knowing whatever happened to him. But I liked him quite a bit. I really liked his voice, his descriptions, and really glad that I read it. If you want more details, you can check out the video, the Fresh Red Kills video I did, where I talk about this in more detail. Then I read this, The Rural Gothic in American Popular Culture, Backwoods Horror and Terror in the Wilderness by Bernice M. Murphy. This is a very good work of horror studies that looks at the relationship in American culture between the forest, the wilderness, and civilizations and humans. And she looks at various works of American literature and also American events, everything from Mary Rowlandson being captured by Native Americans to the Donner Party, and things like that, and how they have affected American popular culture, especially in terms of not just literature, but also horror films. Those are the two main things. So I'm looking at works of horror literature and horror films. And again, very good. I just say I loved all the books I read this month. They were all really good. And this is no exception. This is a Palgrave book, which means it's expensive. But if you get it on a sale, I would definitely recommend it. But like this one. I also read Psycho by Robert Bloch. I know the film very, very well. I've read a lot about the film. I've written a lot about the film. But I had never gone through the whole novel front to back, and I'm really glad I did this time. I think it's a wonderful time capsule for 1959. Norman Bates is a fascinating character. It gives you a lot to think about, a lot to chew on. There's so much in here about the sort of changing economics of American society, changing mores in American society, and also thoughts about identity and mental health as well. Would really highly recommend this if you're curious about it. It is a very quick read. It's less than 200 pages. And I read The Haunting of Alma Fielding by Kate Summerscale, a true ghost story. Really impressive work. This is about a real-life poltergeist case that was investigated by a guy named Nandor Fodor, Hungarian-born investigator. But this is a nonfiction work. This is not about sensationalism or anything like that. This is about his investigation into a woman who was claiming to have a poltergeist attack, Alma Fielding, and his changing perspective during that case. She basically got a hold of his files, and she tells it through his experience, and it's great. We go from a sort of credulity and amazement to more and more suspicion, and a lot of questioning about what he really believed, and how he should operate going forward. A great, again, snapshot in time to the late 1930s in England, and what was going on, and how spiritualism played out in society during that time, and things like that. So yeah, really like this one again. I keep saying that because it's true. And the last one, again, I really liked. Last thing I read was The Complete Mouse by Spiegelman. I had read the first Mouse. This is Mouse 1 and 2 together. The first Mouse a few years ago, but I didn't have part 2, so finally I got a hold of the complete one and read it, and it is terrific. We have Spiegelman writing or drawing also his father's memories of the Holocaust. Jews are depicted as mice. Everybody's depicted as animals, and but not in a childish way. I think as an artist or a cartoonist, it's much easier to depict or to distinguish between people if they're drawn as animals. So I totally understand why he did it. But this is not just about his father's experience of the Holocaust. It's also about his relationship with his father in late 1970s, early 1980s, when he was being told the memories by his father. Somebody who is sometimes very difficult to deal with. So it's a lot about father-son relationships and dealing with, past and trauma, and trying to figure out your family's history. A lot of great stuff in here, but it's absolutely fantastic. This is great. So yeah, those are the things that I read in October. It was a really good month. I was happy with everything. Not much to complain about at all this month. Highly recommend all of these. So we've got Art Spiegelman's Mouse. We've got The Haunting of Alma Fielding. The Man of the Crowd. The works of Ambrose Bierce in the Library of America edition. And we've got The Rural Gothic in American Popular Culture. And finally, Psycho by Robert Bloch. If you've read any of these, as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And also, as always, thank you, BookTube.